Jason Rantz is a Seattle-based radio host who's been following the madness in Portland, Oregon. He joins us now. Jason, what in the world is going on in Portland, Oregon? Walk us through what you've been saying.
Yeah, so what we're seeing is what it seems like total lawlessness because local leaders don't want to get involved in Antifa violence. There is this movement to try to pretend that this is a Black Lives Matter protest, that these are all innocent people who are being violated, their rights being violated by the Trump administration and DHS, and that's obviously not what's going on. What we're seeing here is escalating violence every single night. And finally, the federal government said, look, we can't let a city get this out of control. If you want to go after downtown Portland, okay, that's up to you guys there, but you're not going after federal facilities, federal buildings. Last night, 21 individuals were arrested. Some of the things, not just throwing bricks, but throwing water bottles at officers that are frozen. So their intent is to do harm. And what we're seeing online is this strategy on Twitter with Antifa videos that are basically serving as propaganda that Senator Merkley is sending around, where you get a little bit of an interaction with a officer or a federal agent making an arrest, you get no context, and then all of a sudden the ACLU is saying, we've got these Gestapo-like tactics, we have people who are just being whisked away in the dead of night, when that's not happening at all. I mean, part of the reason why we're seeing some of the video of the unmarked cars is when you've got marked vehicles, when you've got Portland police trying to make arrests, they face assault. And so you quickly go in there, you get rid of the people who are either committing acts of violence or accused, you make the arrest, you book them, and then they're released. You're doing this in a way that basically makes it so that there's not going to be violence.
So, what's all this about? Because we've heard from the Portland police officer earlier who said that he's seen Black police officers face racism from the people there who are claiming that they're fighting for Black lives. So what's really going on in the country? What's behind all of this?
What's behind specifically in Portland is an ideological agenda to push socialist viewpoints and far fringe progressive viewpoints. This has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. You've got a bunch of privileged white kids who are shouting racist remarks at black officers and committing acts of violence without getting in real trouble. I mean, if you want to talk about white privilege, that seems like white privilege. There is an end goal of getting rid of policing as we know it. They want to break down institutions, whether it's policing or the justice system or just capitalism. And they want to rebuild these institutions in their own ideological image. And of course, you have to do that when to get to that point, you get to be a little bit violent. You have to intimidate. This is a domestic terroristic act to use your ideology to try to frighten people, to bully people, using violence to get to your means. And I'm glad finally President Trump is stepping up here and sending in the federal government.
Is it working?
It's working in this. Look, at this point, it's become a little bit political, right? I mean, the president is showing he is the law and order president. He's going up against Joe Biden, who he's painting as quite the opposite. The Democrats are now using this as an excuse not to go after the Antifa activists. Instead, they're saying this is Portland versus Trump or Seattle versus Trump, New York versus Trump. That gets them a little bit of coverage so they don't actually have to go after frankly, their base of support on the ground who's responsible for all of this.
Jason, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.